So where do we begin? Hey guys, it's your girl Emma. Welcome back to the channel. We have finally reached the midway point of my sewing program. So far, we've learned how to make women's dress shirt, bodycon dresses, different skirt variations, and in this section of the program, we're learning how to make top variations, and then combine the tops and the skirts together to create dresses, gowns, you name it, we will be making it. This episode will also cover my midterm project for this program, and the garments that I made during this midterm project is easily some of my proudest sewing makes, period. And without further ado, let's get into it because I'm so excited to show you these makes. You guys already know the drill. We're going to start off with some good old theory with learning how to make fitted strapless tops. In terms of dart manipulation, we learned to take in like extra fabric at the neckline so that the strapless top will actually stay on you and not like flay open or fall down. And as for the back, there are two ways to finish these types of tops. One is with the zipper and the other is with laces. So lacing up like you would see in corsetry, which is one of the reasons that got me really excited for this segment of the program, is the idea that I will now learn the fundamentals to advance into corsetry should I ever want to meander into that area in the future. I had this bright pink, slightly synthetic but mostly natural fiber fabric that was left over from another project. I also used a relatively thin lining material because I didn't want it to look bulky, but I didn't account for the fact that there would be a lot of tension on the zipper or the lace at the back because that would be the main thing holding this top together, and the thin fabric meant that it did not hold shape very well, like it would stretch a lot, both the main fabric and the lining fabric, so that is one thing I'm keeping in mind for next time. I also added some bra inserts and then I took it out because it looked weird. And overall, I think there were a lot of issues with this top, mainly with my fabric choice, and so I was really ready to just like take the top apart and harvest the zipper from the back, which sounds kind of bad, but like, you know, you gotta be mindful of your resources, right? Okay, so for the midterm project, task was to make 2 tops and 3 dresses. This project overall, it is very referential in the sense that my classmates and I were not designing these garments from scratch, but because we're in the learning process and you do learn a lot through imitation, we scrolled through Pinterest, took down a lot of photos and references that we wanted to recreate, look at it and try to understand how the garment is constructed, adapt that specific design to our bodies, to our specific measurements. So this is the first top that I decided to make. This is a really cute top made from jacquard, and it is almost backless and there's a bow in the back. Thing about fabric care in preparation for sewing, each of these will shrink under certain conditions. So for more natural fibers, they will shrink in water. So you want to soak them in water for a couple of hours, or if you're working with like pure cotton, you may want to even soak it overnight. Wash it, dry it, let it shrink before working with it with your pattern. And if you're working with more synthetic fibers, they will shrink under heat. So a good way to go about it would be to iron all of your fabric out before you start cutting into it. This jacquard that I got, it's like purely synthetic. It would only shrink in heat, but the dye to get it this neon color is just not something you come across every day, and it probably uses a very powerful dye. So I soaked it in water and this is what I got. And also, this fabric frays like nothing I'd ever seen before, so you really want to work quickly because the longer you wait, the more fabric you lose from your seam allowances, and the smaller your shirt becomes. This is essentially a peplum backless top with a boat neckline, and the point of interest, I'd say, for this top is the bow at the back. And this top got a really special debut at the Opera House. My mom and I actually got tickets to see a musical theater show in our town, and it is actually Vietnam's first Broadway level musical, I believe, and it's called Chi Fiao. I was blown away by the quality of the acting and the music writing and just the production overall for this play. The show and its cast is definitely getting the attention and praise and appreciation that it deserves, so I am so happy. Oh my gosh, I wish y'all could have been there to watch it with me. The thing is that it is in Vietnamese, and I just wish I could just add a built-in Vietnamese translator into your minds so that you could understand the play. It's just so good. If you can't already tell from the footage, I am very happy with how this top turned out. It is the first time I've worn anything this neon, let alone in neon pink. I don't think I've worn anything backless, so this really was jumping out of my comfort zone on many different levels. But the thing that I've noticed with like these more out of the box garments that I usually would not wear in my own closet is that after you wear them a couple times, things that used to be too much for you start to become more normal. I was talking to my friends who do personal color, and I asked them like, okay, if these neon colors are the stuff that look good on me, like how do I incorporate that into my daily wardrobe and not look over the top? And the answer is basically that it is mostly in my head what I consider to be a daily color or like a special occasion color. And if I can like grow to a point where I can look at patterns and brighter colors and consider them up here to be part of my daily closet, then the problem is solved. This second top here was also quite the jigsaw puzzle to solve because there are so many moving pieces. I decided to go with 3 different colors, not exactly like the ones in the reference photo. This top, as simple as it may look, actually had 13 to 15 different pieces to the bodice alone. And the thing with working with a lot of pieces is that if you don't work quickly, inevitably you're gonna lose some of these pieces, and that was the case for me. I had done my math, I had done my preparation pretty well, cut everything out, stuck interfacing on everything, and then when I sat down to sew a couple days later, I lost 3 pieces, and to this day I still don't know where they have gone. The same goes with pants and jackets actually. Those garments also have a lot of pieces, so it's good to work quickly. I also wanted to work with boning for at least one of my projects, so I got to insert a heck of a lot of boning into this top. And here is the final result. I had a lot of fun with this one actually. I can wear it with the straps up, with the straps off, like a strapless top, and I think both versions are pretty dang cute. And now is the point of choosing the fabric to make our 3 dresses. Here's my first reference photo, and I gravitated towards this fabric because to me it looked incredibly edgy. When I draped it over my body, the funny thing was my family was saying how it was giving picnic blanket, milkmaid type John, and I was really surprised because the name of the pattern itself is called houndstooth, which is a very edgy name. In Vietnamese, it's nanh sói, basically the same thing, but in French, this pattern is called pied de poule, pied de poule, poule, no, that's Korean. Pied de poule, which is chicken feet. I think the association that my family has with this fabric aligns more with the French meaning of this pattern rather than like the English or Vietnamese meanings. So I am very curious as to what this pattern is called in your language. And I wonder if like the name that you assign to a pattern gives it a whole different feel. So for this garment, the main construction is in the bodice. The bottom half, the skirt half of this dress is basically just a circle skirt with a couple pleats in the front. The thing with this garment is that my reference photo is based off of AI. For real garments and real photos, what you'll usually be able to see is the seam that have been designed and created to construct this particular garment. But when it comes to AI photos, the seams that are shown on the picture don't necessarily line up with the seams that you would actually need to construct this garment successfully. And that was the case that I encountered with this particular reference photo. I think it had to do with one of two things. The first being that the seams that I see in the photo might not actually be feasible seams to hold the garment together the way I wanted to. And secondly, if I could troubleshoot better, I could probably be able to finagle my way through this garment and be able to fix the problem that I had, which is the gaping at the armpit over here, which is why I wear it with a top underneath to make the gaping a little less noticeable. I wanted to try to incorporate grommets and lacing at least once, and I only chose 5 rows of grommets, which is nowhere near what you would actually need to make a full-on corset. So I thought 5 rows is easy money, shouldn't be too hard to put on, right? Wrong. This was a workout and a half to put on by myself, and so I had to call for my mom's aid. The ribbons being 2 different colors was also not my intentional stylistic decision. In fact, it was because the lady who sold me the ribbon probably did not account for the fact that I was like double her size. Fortunately, I did buy 2 different colored ribbons and I tied them together to make one longer ribbon to actually be enough to put it on my body. But yeah, I got to wear this dress out to an outing with my mom and the aunties to a Russian restaurant, and they said it was very fitting for the environment that we were eating out in. So I'll take that as a win. Moving on to dress number 2. Here is the reference photo that we're working with. The bottom half of this dress is basically a circle skirt once again. The top, however, is a little bit more difficult because we're working with a sheer fabric in the middle here. And construction for sheer fabric, you need to finagle it a little bit because usually the fabric at the top here will be double layered. But if you have a seam here and seam allowance peeking through, it's not cute. The back is also pretty much see-through, and there's some highlight points, which are these buttons here in the back. Overall, construction wasn't too difficult. I really enjoyed this project. Haven't worn anything in cobalt blue either, so this was a great addition to my closet. I think it gives off a very elegant vibe, pretty much wearable to multiple occasions, I feel like. And even though the back is see-through, there is still fabric there, and that illusion kind of gives it more modesty in a way. Love this dress, would be wearing it again for sure. Moving on to dress number 3. At first, I actually didn't know whether I wanted to make a 3rd gown because where would I wear 3 gowns? And I was debating between 2 patterns. I was leaning more towards this, but I didn't know if I wanted to make the full dress. So I decided that I would make it in half size instead. So I constructed the pattern on paper, also in half size. And at the end of constructing the pattern for this one, I no longer felt a need to move on to the real dress. I had fun with the magic of pattern making and dart manipulation, and that was good enough for me. For this one, even though I wasn't leaning towards that in the first place, after making the half size pattern construction, somehow I still felt so excited to move on to the next step, to making it in full size on paper and then finally on fabric. My first choice was using this sequin and lining it with this like a purple fabric. A sequin cowl neck is very, for me at least, very dramatic, but I was a little apprehensive about working with sequin just because I've heard that the prep work for that fabric is quite tedious. Apparently you break a lot of needles along the way, but my classmate made a satin dress and it looked great on her. So I wanted to make a satin dress too, so I made a satin dress. And I got the address of where she got her fabric. I went there, I got this lovely pink fabric. So you see the theme. The pink theme is coming up yet again. We do have an ongoing joke that I use up a lot of the Academy's paper because one, I'm just bigger and taller than everyone else, so I just need more fabric to make anything, and two, I just love me my long gowns. Can you fault a girl for loving long gowns? But yeah, you can see me trying to be mindful of my paper usage. Like I'm using up scraps here and there that otherwise wouldn't get used. And from that, we have this piece of paper craft art to show for it. This is all in good spirit, of course, because I think each of us in class bring a different thematic issue to the table. For me, it's using a lot of paper to make the patterns, and another one of our classmates is in love with flounces, and another one of us loves bubble everything. Bubble skirt, bubble shirt, bubble dress, you name it, she's going to make it in bubble form. We didn't really notice this at first with ourselves, but as we start to choose more reference photos, start to make more garments, I think our personality really started to shine through, and you can kind of see what everyone's style was or what we gravitated towards most naturally. I don't have too much footage of the construction of this dress just because I was just so focused on the process itself, and this is the final result. I still have yet to find an occasion to wear it, but I am very excited for when I do. Because damn, does it look lovely, if I do say so myself. I'm just really surprised. Should I be surprised that pink looks really good on me? How did I not know this sooner? I used to really shy away from pink, but my friends in personal color, y'all have a point. I see it now. I see your vision. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I definitely enjoyed making these garments. Still to this day, they are the garments that I am most proud of. Honestly, it took a toll. It was a lot of brain power, I'm not gonna lie. It took a lot out of me to construct and troubleshoot these garments. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!